Hello and welcome to Cricket 360, wherever you're watching this from around the world. We are in Kenya, to be specific. Nairobi is the city, and then Gymkhana is the oval that we're standing at. My name is Tawanda Eli, and then I will be with Dennis Msali, who will be one of the commentators taking a look at the men's T20 World Cup sub-regional qualifier B. Right, Dennis, how are you?
I'm very well, Eli. Happy to be in magical Kenya.
Yeah.
Like I said, you mentioned the Gymkhana. The last time we were here, 2017, some very bad memories. Our under 19 boys missing out on a World Cup in New Zealand in 2018. But we're here for good stories only, not the bad ones.
We'll take a look at what Kenya has to offer a little bit later. But let's focus on why the teams are here. But first of all, let's have a look at the teams that are here. Who do we have, Dennis?
We have Mozambique, we have Seychelles, we have the Gambia. A lot of people will be surprised, but yes, the Gambia plays cricket. We have the host Kenya. Of course, the big boys are in town, Zimbabwe, and another East African team, Rwanda, is here. So there are a total of 6 teams that are in this particular tournament.
Right, 6 teams that will be participating in this tournament. 2 spots up for grabs to go into the next qualifier that will be coming up after this one.
My name is captain of Seychelles. I'm originally from Australia, but I've lived the last 24 years in Seychelles. We've had a pretty good preparation. The problem with Seychelles is that we're so far away from everywhere else, so we don't get to play too many international matches. And for us, this is a great experience. We're under no illusion, or we're realistic enough to realise that we're only a population of 100,000 and a very small percentage of that plays cricket. So, but there's a freedom when you are an athlete, that when you have no pressure and you're the underdog, that you can just play freely. So I think we're going to take that on board and really enjoy the experience.
Thank you. Yes, like I said at the start, it's difficult for us because we are so far away from everybody else that we find it very difficult to play international matches. So we play a lot of matches amongst ourselves. What experience do I bring? I've played on turf before. A lot of the guys in the team, I look at the pitch and we play on either matting or we play on modified artificial grass. So it's going to be a good experience for the guys to play on actual turf wickets. It wasn't that long ago in Seychelles that we didn't have a ground this size. We've had a ground this size maybe for the last three, maybe 4 years. Before that, all the grounds we played on were about half of this size. So you can imagine then when we play overseas, how difficult it is to have a huge ground. So, like I said, it's difficult for us. We're definitely the underdogs, but we take that on board and we look forward to that. Yeah.
I think if you take me out of the team, our average age must be 20. No, these are the guys which we identified a few years ago, and we have given them a lot of games in Zim A and emerging and the franchise level. So the young guys that we have picked, and even in Afro T10 that we just recently had, the guys we identified, the guys who have been consistent performers are the only ones that are here. So while we look at their age and we think there are a lot of young guys, but behind those young guys there's a lot of cricket that they have played and have actually played really well. So all these guys are not here because they're young, because they've done really well and they have shown the selectors and the captain that we're ready for the big shot. And I truly believe they are. And you will see these young guys playing a very exciting brand of cricket as well.
I'm going to draw back to the last qualifiers we had.
I knew somebody was going to do that.
Yeah, of course, I'm going to ask about the game against Uganda. You lost, and I felt like it was a big surprise for you to be sort of the World Cup, and Uganda took the place in there. Are you going to be driven by that kind of disappointment that you had last time out, coming into a fresh start here?
Since cricket is a lot more failures than success, what I try and work out is all the pain and the disappointment that we have had, not just with Uganda, with every game that I've lost, or we have lost as a country. You try and channel those energies in the right way to get yourself and the team motivated so that you can be better. Disappointments and failures are part of our life and our cricket as well. as long as I can channel that energy into being motivated and to motivate the team, the results will come, and that's how I look at it. Yeah, with Justin, we've got a very good coaching staff. The whole team has been very professional, and our professionals have been really good back home, and even the games and the tours we've had under Justin, there has been a slight change in the mindset, which has been fruitful, and I think the result of that was the win against India was crucial for Zimbabwe and for the new technical staff as well. So I've enjoyed working with Justin. I mean, we both are in sync with the vision and the plan to go forward. And apart from that, it's a very important tournament, and Zimbabwe cricket has trusted me to lead the side, the young side, and try and group them so that when I hang my boots, we've got a solid squad that can take the country forward. Because for me and for Zimbabwe, the most important thing is when the senior guys go, the country must see progress in the right direction. The flag must raise high, and there should be individuals raising the flags in the rankings and winning games for their country.
Right, then coming through to being in this tournament, and a lot of fans were not happy that this is where we are at, having to be playing in this qualifier. But what direction would you want them to focus on? Yes, we're here, but where would you want to draw their attention to?
So the beauty about fans is once you start winning, they forget about where we were and where we are. And it has been the case for some years. So while there has been some outcry and now I'm under no illusion that why, because we're the only test nation sitting here. But at the same time, I'm not going to allow fans or myself to disrespect the 5 other nations that are sitting next to me. We must respect every tournament at every given time. And I mean, it's a great honor and privilege to play against some of these guys, because I may never, or Zimbabwe may never play against these countries again. So yes, we are playing the sub-regional, but at least we can hold our head high. Inshallah, we do well, and when we qualify, we have gone through every route, which will also be a motivation for every other African nation as well, that you can do it if you go through all the processes. So hopefully we do well, and inshallah we do well. We are here to make our fans proud, and we know what they want from us. We are here to make our country proud, and I know what's the expectation from us. But I am not going to sit here and allow myself or any other social media voice to disrespect this tournament or the 5 gentlemen and their country that are sitting next to me.
For us, the reason why we maintain the same squad is because we want continuity. Because the guys who are in the squad, I think, playing in this game, I think the momentum is with them. So it's not that we don't have other players that could have come in, but I think we just believe in the continuity. So for us, I think mentally it's just, we've played enough cricket. I think most of us in the team have played enough cricket. So adjusting from 50 overs to T20, I think it shouldn't be a tough task for us.
Just having a look at the teams that we have here, of course, automatically the favorites will be the test playing nation of Zimbabwe. They will be expected to go through with ease. Will that happen? We don't know, because these are virtually new teams that they're playing. They have never played some of these teams before, besides Kenya only, but that was a long time ago as well. And the last team to actually play Kenya was the under-25s men's, who were in the All Africa Games earlier on in Ghana. We had the courtesy of watching them being led by Clive Madande, who's also in this Zimbabwe team that has come up. What can we expect in this tournament?
I think, like you've mentioned, and I wanted to pick it up from there. I liked what Skandar Raza said in the press conference. They're here as the big boys, but they give respect to everyone who's here. They know a lot of the teams will be their first time to play against them. So maybe for them as the big boys, they don't have so much information, but the other teams have information about them. So it could work in their favor, but they know they need the mark is on their backs, so they have to make sure that they come up with the goods. And I feel that Zimbabwe should be, or will be expected to progress from this particular group. I think what is going to be very, very interesting in this particular tournament, from my experience of watching the other teams, apart from the Gambia, who are a bit maybe far off from the other teams, but Mozambique, Rwanda has been progressing very well. Now Lawrence Mahatlan is in charge of that team, who was the former Cricket Cranes coach. Rwanda, the Gambia, Rwanda, Mozambique, and Kenya, and Seychelles. I think those are going to fight it out for second spot. Those are some very, very good teams. A lot of people may know Seychelles for tourism and all, but they have some fine cricketers. And I think for me, that second spot is going to be one that is going to be hotly contested for amongst those 4 teams.
All right, so just having a look at the teams that you say that they might just be, the lot will be competing for the second team, but the fact that Zimbabwe are the favorites, does that put a target on their back as the team to beat, or teams just work around to saying, I don't mind losing to Zimbabwe, but as long as I beat everybody else?
Yes, I think ideally everyone will first think that, you know what, maybe Zimbabwe is sort of a free hit. Zimbabwe is going to have a free hit against us. So we will not that we won't take them serious, but we'll give our best. If our best is good enough on the day, we'll take the result. But we won't be so disappointed if we were not able to win against them. And I think from the message of the captains, all of them want to compete against them, and then, you know, show up against them. If you show up against the big boys, then it gives you some sort of lift against the other teams. What is going to be very important for Zimbabwe, and I think what they did so well, was in the quality of the team they brought here. I think that sent a message to all the other teams that we're not taking this very lightly.
Right.
We're taking this tournament very, very seriously. So Skandaraza is here. You know, he's played around the world in the CPL, in the 100. His team just won the T10 in Zimbabwe. So you'd feel maybe they'll be thinking, maybe he needs to sit up this one, and then we can take maybe the guys who are the African games. But they've made sure that they come up with the big boys here. So Rand Valley is back in the team. Clive, who led the team at the African Games. Wesley is back. Brendan Mavuta. So there are a lot of big names in that team, and for them, it's going to be important that they show up. The quality of the teams they are going to play against may not be as good as what they are used to at that level. They played against India and even won, but still you need to play good cricket for you to be able to get a result against them. So there's a bit of pressure on Zim for them to make sure that even if they have the target on their backs, but sometimes I feel that teams that are very good, sometimes even if they played very poorly, their 50% is still good enough to get them a result. Even if you played at 100% and they played at 50, their 50% is still good enough to get them a result. So I just feel they might have enough in them to make sure that they just need to go through this qualifier, get to the finals, and then think about the teams in the finals. But most importantly, if you've never been at this stage, you know, there may be a bit of nerves and a bit. So you're thinking maybe this is going to be an easy one.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, one morning you're 10 for 2, then you're 50 for 4, and things are not going the way you planned. But I'm still thinking that with the experience, they can be able to go through the group.
Right, with the experience that Zimbabwe possesses, they will be expected to go through. That's what pretty much everyone is talking about. But I'll have to move away from Zimbabwe, focus on Kenya. Kenya did have a tournament earlier on, the Challenge League B that was happening, Challenge League A actually that was happening here. 50 overs they were playing. So they have had some game time, not T20 as such, but they consistently have been playing international cricket or first-class cricket, as they would put. So does that give them momentum coming into this game? They've maintained the same team that played there coming here.
I think the results in the Challenge League were not so good in terms of if you're talking about a report card. They finished 4th out of the 6 teams that were here. But then you also look at the quality of the teams that were playing against Jersey, the PNG, Kuwait. Those are the teams that finished above them. I think they played some fantastic cricket when they came to Kenya. Either Kenya was surprised by the level of some of the teams, or maybe they needed some more games for them to get into the groove. They were able to win on that. Actually, they lost on the final day to PNG. There are only 2 wins coming up against Qatar and Jersey, but Jersey finished on top of that table. So you feel that that was sort of a good preparation for them for this particular tournament. They played some very high level cricket getting into this. They had a warm-up game against Zimbabwe as well. Maybe that also gave them some perspective of where Zim is and where they are and what the things they need to work on. But in the context of this particular tournament, the other teams are probably also thinking that Kenya might be a team we can be able to upset, but nonetheless, they're a team that are expected to progress with Zimbabwe. So for Kenya, and in the context of the format they're also playing, I think they're very good. They're a decent T20 team. They can hurt teams, and in their own background, I feel that they should be confident enough to do well. Hopefully, this time they can have a lot more people coming through to try and cheer for the team, be the 12th man. They should be able to get some good results, but it's not going to be very easy.
Right, so we've spoken of the teams that people are expecting to go through, or who are most likely to go through the second round, Zimbabwe and Kenya being that. Now, having a look at the smaller nations in perspective of their experience, when they come to such a tournament, what are the expectations that they have? Because largely people will look at smaller nations saying that you are pretty much in a David and Goliath situation, so you have nothing to lose. If you do get a win, that's a plus for you. It actually puts you there, but even if it doesn't go your way, but what are the expectations for them?
One of the things that these sub-regional qualifiers have done, which in a good way, is to help teams, try and level up. You in the past, maybe you'd think probably a contest between Kenya and Seychelles is a walkover because maybe the other team is just coming to show up. They're not well prepared, or they're not thinking about the game so much. As long as they're here, even if they lose, they'll go back and go back to their own lives. But these days, from the experience I've been, especially since 2021, teams really take these sub-regional qualifiers very, very seriously. So do not think that Mozambique is only going to come here and you have a walk in the park. No. Mozambique, the last time I saw them in Rwanda, they are totally improved as a team, as a unit. They are very, very solid T20 team. You'll see some of their boys playing ramps and things like that. If they need to come down the wicket, they will. If they want to smack a length ball, they will. So all these teams normally take these sub-regional qualifiers very, very seriously. And I think for the associate teams, for the smaller teams, the more you perform well, the more money that ultimately comes to you as well. So all of them are always trying to step up. They're trying to go to the next level. If I get myself into the finals, from the sub-regional qualifier, we saw Malawi is now in the Africa finals. So Malawi has an opportunity of playing the bigger teams, Uganda already there, Namibia, and of course other teams that will progress from the other qualifiers. So the associate teams no longer take these qualifiers in a light manner. They put in a lot of work. You see teams coming here with coaches, they have physios, and it's not a very long tournament, only 5 match days. So it is intense cricket each and every day, and they take these games very, very seriously. So I'm thinking that Rwanda itself, they put in a lot of time before they came here. They won Malawi, they won those series 3-2. Mozambique, always very, very competitive. Those boys, they don't speak a lot of English, but in their Portuguese, they're very, very competitive unit. And as well as Seychelles, we watched them today when they were playing Kenya in that warm-up game. You can see that they understand the game. You won't see, different field sets and things like that. They understand the game and they really want to make sure that they leave a mark or they send a statement to all the other nations. So those smaller teams, like we would call them, these days I think it is small in quotes, but when they come out to play, they go hard.
Definitely go hard, they will. So it'll be an interesting tournament, interesting 5 days of cricket that we'll be having. So we've looked at the team's strengths, who to look out for, who might possibly cause an upset here. Mozambique definitely coming out as a strong team that you need to be aware of, as well as Seychelles. And don't even rub off Kenya as well. They do have a contingent that has been playing consistent cricket. They might not have been winning, but definitely they'll be good. Zimbabwe, ultimate favorites. But there are other aspects that will come into play.
Yeah.
Right, for now, I can take a look at the weather. Sky's a little bit dark and grey. Rain will play a factor, especially for afternoon games, since it was a little bit cooler in the afternoon, in the morning, but now the afternoon, a slight drizzle. And then we take a look at the wicket itself, how it will behave. What are those? How will teams navigate those?
By the way, we haven't spoken about Rwanda extensively, but Rwanda, a very, very good team, very well coached by Lawrence Mahazlani. He's been with them for, I think, close to a year now since he left Uganda and left Tanzania as well, and then crossed over to Rwanda. But a very solid unit. They've done their homework. They played a couple of games in Kenya against a Kenyan team. Then they've gone to Malawi. So they've done a lot of work on their side to make sure that they are competitive. And for me, between Rwanda and Mozambique, those are my two dark horses. The other teams could cause an upset, but I think in terms of forcing the envelope, and especially pushing for that second position, Mozambique and Rwanda are my teams. But talking of the weather, and we saw it affecting a couple of games in the Challenge League, teams need to be very, very careful, especially if you win the toss. Of course, Kenya has looked like a batting heaven, so a lot of teams have won the toss and decided to bat first. But if you know that you want to get a result, then you need to be calculative. Don't win the toss against probably the Gambia and you're like, now we're trying to chase the highest score in T20 cricket. On your way to doing that, the heavens may open and then you end up with a no result. Right. First of all, we don't have so many, there are no reserve days. If it is rained out, you just share points. So it's important that you do that calculation well. I remember Kenya was in a sticky situation, I think 2 years ago in Rwanda, when they were trying to do the same thing. And most of their games were being rained out. When their teams were playing in the mornings, there were no rains, and Kenyan games were in the afternoon. So every time they had a chance to play, the heavens would open, and yet their opposition was winning. So it's important that you're very, very calculative. If you can win easy, I think that's the best thing they say. If you can win the toss, bowl fast and get them out cheap, and then chase down the total in quick time, that should be your best option, especially if the weather is going to be something that may come in play.
Definitely. So those are the aspects that you need to look at, especially looking at T20 cricket, the shortest and the absolute most entertaining format of cricket. So we'll be giving you updates as we go along, as the tournament progresses, get a few interviews that we can get to find out where the teams are, how they're playing, and ultimately who will be taking those 2 tickets into the next qualifier. Like I said, this is Cricket 360 with yours truly, Tawanda Eli and Dennis Musadi. See you the next one.